Hey everyone, don't know who is here with me, probably not a lot. Those of you who have notifications enabled for the channel will be recipients of this live stream, and those who don't won't have any idea and will probably have to watch it on the replay. So any of you guys watching Josh Galt's live probably by now realize that he's having internet problems. It was pretty funny because as his circle was spinning on his live stream, I get a phone call from Josh going, "What's going on? I don't understand what's going on here." So he's having issues with his internet, and hopefully he gets that thing resolved. And I do know that he is going to go live again on Thursday. And I know tomorrow's a pretty big day. He's got some things lined up, and hopefully he'll have some information to share with us. Maybe he won't, but according to what we were talking about, it looks like maybe he'll have something to talk about on Thursday. So tune in to his channel on Thursday, more than likely same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. We have a few here with us. Let's see, we got Tommy. And what is this? YouTube clip. What is that for? We got Spam Banshee, and I'm sure we've got Primo as well, and we have Maya. I don't see Jovial. She's the one that wanted me to go live, so Jovial Juggler. I doubt we'll have all that many people in here because I really don't have a whole lot to say. Oh, Josh's message of the day. So I need to somehow be able to click into that because I have no idea what clip we're talking about. Archie, yeah, you're here. I told you I was going live, so thanks for being here, buddy. Semperfi 1918 in the house, and I put out a video this morning talking about the issue that I'm dealing with. Well, really not an issue because I've just moved on from it, but it's the shipping problem that I had with the golf clubs. I've never had a golf club break in half, and we've shipped our clubs like this, where we simply wrap the club with bubble the head. We wrap the shaft of the club, and we've never, and I'm talking at least 50, 60 clubs we've sold over the years. We've never had an issue where the thing was just snapped in half. So some good advice. I know that a couple folks, Benny Stratton and some others, mentioned that you got to fill the void between the club and the box. And I guess we'll just use a bunch of bubble wrap. I'm not going to buy packing peanuts. I'm not going to put a customer through that. Was talking to Archie Biscuit Butt, and he was saying to put in your listing if there's any problems with the delivery or any type of damage to the package that you want to go in and put a note saying to the buyer to, before you resolve any refund, they have to go in and go through the claims process. I don't want to put my buyers through that. I know that to receive an item, it's aggravating when it's broken, and to ask them to go through more hoops when people don't have time. I mean, have you been to a post office lately? Go and stand in the line of the non-monetary transaction line that they make you stand in. At least the one here, it is almost out the door. We're talking 30 minutes to an hour for someone to get help. And I just don't want to aggravate my buyers to the point where they are tempted when eBay prompts them to leave feedback to leave a negative one, because I could have made it easier for them and just gave them their money back. Sometimes you just got to understand that, look, I'm into the item for $5. Okay, that's what I'm losing here, plus the cost of shipping, and walk away and move on for another day. And hopefully that buyer will appreciate it. My buyer left me a positive, and that's all I could ask for. So what else do we have here? Maya says, oh yeah, I haven't watched the USPS video yet, but I will. Okay. I mean, it's just kind of going through my situation and what I've discovered, that in a nutshell, and if you want to save yourself some time, in a nutshell, it's just saying that as sellers, USPS has made it very difficult for us to resolve a damaged item claim, because once you put the claim in online, they wait days upon days to get back to you, and then they'll send you a letter in the mail, and the letter will say, by the way, we need you to bring the item to a local post office and have us inspect it, despite the fact that you've sent them maybe 5 or 6 photos of the box, of the item, of the transaction on eBay. They know that most people aren't going to bring the item back into the post office, so that's their out, so they don't have to pay for postage. Biscuit Butt said that is a crazy situation, and that was a beautiful club. Yeah, it's an older club. It's a club I used probably 15 years ago. It was my club. I gave it to my friend, and he had it sitting in his garage all that time, and he gave it back to me before he moved to Italy. So Maya said it's hard to believe they actually broke a club in half, though. Yeah, I mean, I can understand maybe a crack in the shaft, because it's a graphite shaft. It's not a steel shaft. Steel shaft probably would have just bent. Graphite shaft just snapping in half like that, it's like you have to stomp on it for that to happen. Biscuit Butt says, even if you fill the void, it looks like someone stomped on that. Yeah, and that was what some people put in the comments, that you have it's a 48 by 5 by 5 box. And by the time you wrap the head of the club, wrap the shaft, wrap the handle, and you put it in the box, you still have the void between the shaft and the sides of the box. And that it's better to fill the sides of the box with bubble wrap or something, maybe paper, I guess, just so that it helps maybe absorb any pressure from larger boxes. Because when you're putting your item into Ground Advantage, into the sea of packages that your item is going to be subject to, if your item is at the bottom, it's dealing with 70-pound items, up to 70-pound items. And if you're not packing it well enough to withstand that, you are certainly opening yourself up for problems. So Jennifer Harmon's with us. Hello, thanks for being here. Biscuit Butt, and hopefully I didn't bring my microphone down, so I apologize. Biscuit Butt says, I don't do it in the listing. I do it if they message me that there is damage. Okay. But even then, how many people are going to be at that point willing to stop what they're doing, take time out of their day, run over to the post office and deal with that? And I don't know. I know that sometimes people, even nice people, are going to get aggravated when you have to. I don't want to go stand in the post office for no reason. And I deal with packages every day. These buyers, chances are they've got things going on. Maybe they have a 9 to 5. They want to come home, have dinner, watch TV, hang out with the family. And they really don't want to make a pit stop to the post office on the way from home from work or whatever. But I don't know. Biff Boffo says, I don't think you can make rules in your description anyway. People say no returns and no low ballers, but that doesn't mean anything, and it is in no way binding. Yes. And there's a comment on one of my videos where someone said something to that effect. I don't recall exactly what stipulation they were actually putting into the listing, but it's like it had something to do with returns. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you say. If they open a return, INAD, SNAD, some people call it, or a damaged, you're going to have to take that return, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. No verbiage in the listing is going to protect you. eBay is going to side with the buyer 100% of the time. My one time an item I sold was broken, and I must have gotten lucky because the buyer brought it to USPS, and I got the paperwork filed before he even contacted me. And, I guess Archie on some level is right in that I guess you can have that communication with the buyer and, maybe just get an idea if they are willing to go through that. But I know a lot of the buyers that I deal with, and maybe they're different than, say, some of the nicer buyers. And I say nicer buyers because we had some really great buyers when we were selling those collectible pins and badges. Really good people. Not saying that people who buy my items aren't, but it's a different type of buyer that I'm dealing with. And to be honest, I would rather just eat it. I sell enough on eBay to where if I lose $70, then that's just the way it is. And in the scheme of things, how often am I going to have that happen? Maybe once a year where I have an item like that and I get denied on a claim. So I think usually, like, I have 2 claims in the last year. And the one is with FedEx, one is with USPS. So we're talking thousands of items that we're selling in a year. Two disappointing transactions. It's not going to kill me. Semperfi, sometimes biting the bullet gets a positive review as well, right? I just know that as a buyer, I know how I would want to be treated. And I just don't know if, hey, I can't help you until you go to the post office to deal with this and show them the package is an option. And I'm a seller. I don't even know if I want to, if I buy on eBay, deal with that situation at all. I just don't think I would. And we're asking people who really don't know anything about eBay other than they're just buying on eBay to go through those steps. So I just don't think I'm ever going to do it that way. John Doe says, it takes me less than 5 minutes to drop off and get receipt from my local post office in a tiny town with a population of 2,300. So I guess everyone's situation is a little bit different. Ours, every time I have to make a trip to the post office, let's say the carrier doesn't show up to pick up the packages, it is just a nightmare in this post office here. And I've seen other post offices in town. It's not fun at all. Josh has a internet covefe. So yes, he definitely has to deal with his internet issue. Hopefully he can. I mean, especially if you rely on the connectivity when you're doing your listing. I guess YouTube being secondary isn't that big of a deal, but if you can't list because your internet's down, it's certainly something that you want to fix. Bearded Picker. So this is like a Dollar Tree version of Josh Galt. Yeah, it's not all that great. I can tell you that Josh does a better job of just jumping in front of the live stream and making conversation, making it flow. In fact, he starts off really slow, but then he starts building momentum. Sometimes I can, but I haven't had my Mio this morning. That's my equivalent of coffee. And I'm certainly not on my game. I am currently making drafts. So there's items that we're picking up today. I don't know if Jenna's going to make the trip. She had offered to, like, hey, I can go pick up some of the stuff. But if she doesn't, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be jumping in the car and picking up stuff. But before I even get the stuff, I want to have drafts made so that when I get it, I'm inspecting it. I'm making sure everything's there, making sure that there's no damage. And if there is, and I can still sell it that way, get my photos in, repackage everything, and then list the item, finish the listing. And that's kind of the process on that. Biscuit Butt says, both times never had an issue. Both buyers helped me out. Basically told them that I would refund them faster if they could help me out. Otherwise, I would have to wait for the iRoom to come back. So I like the fact that you give them options, though. It's better than just saying, look, I can't do anything for you. You need to go to the post office. I think that would be unsettling for most people. You might get the buyer who, even you guys have this buyer where you refund them their money. You know, let's say they show you pictures of it. It's damaged. Even if it's maybe something that you did. Maybe you sold them an item that had a rip in it or a flaw that you didn't disclose in the listing, and you kind of realize, well, it doesn't really have enough value for me to have them send it back to relist because of the damage. So you give them a refund, and then that same buyer, they mail you the item back out of their own pocket. So maybe you have a percentage of those people who would be willing to go to the post office and try to make it right. But I know that the transaction's already starting off on the wrong foot by it arriving broken, whether it's your fault or not. And I just would prefer to just solve it and move on. Grammys Miniature says, my sister bought a clock from eBay and it arrived broken. The seller made her do the USPS claim. She said she never went to eBay for anything again. Sad. Sellers need to represent eBay better. And that's just it. You want to create a low effort transaction for the buyer. So low effort meaning that the buyer doesn't have to do a whole lot. I mean, aside from going in, finding the item, buying it, and leaving a positive review once it gets there. You know, if there's snafus along the way, I think the onus really is on the seller to try to resolve the problem to the best of their ability. And, you know, like Archie did, give them the option. Hey, there is a process to this. It may take a couple weeks for me to process this refund if we go through the channels, or you can go in and help me by taking it in. But that's, I guess everyone is going to have a different situation. Let's say it's $1,000 item. Do you treat it differently? Maybe, right? Because that's a lot of money. How much did you put into that $1,000 item? Did you buy it for $200? Well, an item that I put in for $200, I might have a little bit different approach to than something I'm into it for $100, regardless if it sold, well, $10, regardless if it sold for $1,000. So just got to keep that mindset that the money isn't yours until the item's delivered safely and after the 30-day return window is closed. And then, even then, that chargeback is open. You have to deal with that. And I know we have seller protection, so it's really not that big of a problem if you get a chargeback request, because there's still, the onus is still on the buyer to deal with that. So I don't really get concerned with chargebacks all that much. Overjoyed says, doesn't USPS pick up packages for free with the prepaid label? You can arrange for pickups for free. I have mine scheduled 6 months out through the Postal Service, and they don't charge anything for that. But as far as with a, for a prepaid label, but the buyer would have to make that arrangement. There's no way you can arrange on the buyer's behalf for a pickup at their residence. At least I'm not aware of. Biscuit butt item, not iRoom. LOL. I'm just reading what you type in. Mr. Sadie, Larry, hey, thanks for being here. We have Tammy Weber, says we ordered some big trash cans and 4 out of 6 went to a different city. Delivered. What is the post office doing? It's not the seller's fault. So strange. And we're at their mercy, right? We just have to do our best as sellers. I have to do better as far as the packaging side. Again, this is the first time this has ever happened with the golf club. So I just thought this was the way. And apparently I did not provide enough protection, even from a mad postal worker who was just told they have to work overtime, and they decided to stomp on my box because they're angry. That's probably not what happened, but it sounds good anyway. Maya, John, your buyers are like Amazon buyers. They are. I have more problems with my transactions than most people, it seems. Or are others not reporting it? Other channels that sell on eBay, are they not reporting this issue? I don't know. I mean, I still have to file this claim with FedEx. My FedEx rep did get back to me. They did a tracer. This is the one where we sold the rollator. We shipped it across to, I believe it was to Kentucky, and there's a note in the tracking that it was damaged. It says item damaged, reprinting label. And apparently they reprinted the wrong label because they tried to deliver it and they ended up sending it back, but it was sent back to a different address in Las Vegas. I'm in North Las Vegas, and it was sent to a different address, and they were unable to retrieve the package, is what they told me after doing their research on it. So they said, go through your normal means to get your claim filed. So Goof ups like that, out of our control, not a whole lot we can do, but it seems like it happens to me more than most. I don't know, but maybe that's a good sign. That means that it can't happen if I'm not making sales, right? So the fact that I'm making sales opens me up for more of that kind of thing to happen. Biff Boffo says it's more likely you get a negative feedback from asking a buyer for help than getting a helpful buyer. Maybe that's cynical. Yeah. And you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know which one it is. If you're dealing with a good buyer and I say good buyer, I mean, you could have a good buyer that just doesn't want to be bothered. I just prefer not to find out. Jenna, good morning, party people. She's in the other room. She was shipping. We only had a couple packages that had to go out today, so I think she's done. Maya says, hey, Jenna, and also my USPS staff are nice, but I see some really horrible customers. Yeah. And my thing for me, I want to minimize as much aggravation as I can on both sides of the transaction. Hugh says, I do RM 48 hours and I do the collection option from my home. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on the live. I haven't seen you before. Biscuit Butt says, Biff, I'm 2 for 2 and no negative. Never know unless you ask. Yeah. And I guess, I mean, this is a $5 golf club. I mean, it's just not worth it for me. If it was a $200 golf club selling for $5, maybe I try that stance. I don't know. Josh Galt says, can I use one of your comments in a little comedic short video I'm planning? I think he was trying to get the answer to that in his video. So Maya, if you can help Josh out with that, we certainly appreciate that. Andy, here hanging on. Hang on. Hopefully everything's fine where you're at in Indiana. Maya says they also have the passport service and they called the cops because some guy went ballistic because he walked in and demanded they do his passport when he didn't have an appointment. Yeah, you definitely have to have an appointment. The lines here are just long. And I can imagine standing in that line for an hour and then being told you have to come back. I can see how that can set someone off. Tommy, if she's offering to pick up something and anything like my wife, that means there is an Ulta on the way and it'll be a net loss. No, if Jenna's going to pick up my items for me, she's not allowed to stop. I allow her to go to, say, Dutch Bros to get a coffee because she's going through the hassle. But no, it's not time to go shopping. And I think she knows that. Roman says, I'm currently driving to Canada to save Josh. Hello, everyone. Bring him some internet, please. Tammy, yes, so weird. I agree. Bearded Picker, does the thumbs up guarantee work on this show? I hit it anyways. Well, go for it. Let's find out. It only works when Jenna's with me on the live, I think, but we can try it. Mike from LA says, and I don't know if that's Louisiana or if we're talking Los Angeles. USPS does adjustment on my shipping label cost that I got from eBay for discounted price. That can happen if it's supposed to only happen if the package dimensions are entered in incorrectly. So if you have let's say a 1 pound item that you've put in the computer, but it's really like 1.1 ounce, then USPS is going to look at that as a 2 pound item and they'll adjust your label. But they shouldn't be adjusting anything if your weights and dimensions match what they have. So it's depending on how much they're overcharging you, it may be worth a call to eBay to find out what's going on there and get a credit. But if we're talking $1 or $2, it's probably not worth your time. Hugh says, I'm not keen on your USPS. From what I hear from US citizens, they play football with the parcel. There's videos of employees at USPS like throwing packages across the room into the bins. And if their aim isn't very good, it's going to hit the floor and who knows what's in there. So yeah, I do know that. And I also do know that if you put a fragile sticker on the side of the box, some employees intentionally try to slam or break the item just because you want to call it evil, but it's just they are bored or they think they're funny. I don't know. Overjoyed says, do you ever ship packages with the signature required? If so, what is the price threshold? So I will do that only on items over $300. So if it's under 300, I just insure it up to 300. and I don't require a signature. Over $300 now. We're getting into that territory where I want to make sure that I am doing everything I'm supposed to do. And I think eBay wants you to, I think what it's like 250 or something. Maybe that number is incorrect, but they want you to get a signature if it's at a certain price point. They do put UPS in rough. Yeah, they do, but UPS is rougher on the packages from my experience. And I think all the carriers can be that way, to be honest with you. Just to see a couple of the claims that I've had to file with FedEx, it's like, what did you guys do with this package? Or, it just mangled. How did it get like that? Did they just stack it or throw other items on top of it? But we're talking a rollator, something made out of aluminum, like a walker for an old person. How do you destroy that? Jenna says, cereal boxes, right? Don't use cereal boxes for sure. Not funny. This is the only package I've ever had lost was FedEx, and it had a signature required. Mike says, what can I do? USPS accept my shipping, and after a couple of days doing price adjustments and change the difference between eBay discounted shipping cost. Call eBay. That's what I would do. And then as far as the question, should I refund the shipping cost for refunded orders? If you aren't able to ship the item, or if the item is lost or damaged and you're giving the buyer a refund, then you want to give them a refund on the shipping as well. Tommy, signature required doesn't give you any more protection. It doesn't give you any more protection, but if we're dealing with a chargeback situation, they're claiming item not received. It certainly does strengthen your case when you're protecting yourself there. Hugh says, I'm very rarely have problems with mine. Over here in the UK, I only have problems sometimes when I ship to the US. RM Royal Mail. Okay. Uh-oh. Simplified just got another return. Must be a monthly feature. Hopefully it's not something to do with this live stream. I know Roman is known for when you hit the like button, you automatically sign up for a return within the next 24 hours. So hopefully that's not what's happening here. Maya says, if you get returns once a month, that's pretty good. Well, yeah, I get at least 2 or 3 a month. That's the average. And I really don't like talking about returns on the lives, because as soon as I do, here comes eBay with that return notice. Want to avoid that if I can. Maya says, I think eBay's threshold for signature is $750. Okay, I knew it was a number up there. I just wasn't sure. I haven't used it in a while. Biff says, I'm surprised your golf club box didn't have tire marks. I don't know. It looked like it was crushed in not only one place, but 2 places. It looked like it was kind of bent in multiple places. Maybe they're trying to figure out what it is. Like, what is this? Well, what do you guys want to guess what it is? Well, can I step on it? Yeah, go ahead. And I think it's a golf club. Hugh says, if I sell something over 200 pounds, or actually, yeah, I think that's pounds, I send it Royal Mail special delivery, which is $500 to cover. Bearded Picker, 250 was the old number. eBay signature require is not at 750. Or at least now. Andy says, I post on Josh's channel. I pay for Starlink here, and it still goes out every 3 minutes. He says he has Verizon. And so it sounds to me like he has a modem that's connected to his cell phone service or whatever, and it's going down that way. I have WeLink, and I don't know, it's probably not in Canada, but there might be an equivalent service where they went and installed the modem on the top of my roof here, and then they ran a line down, and it connects to this box here that's under my desk. And it's worked okay, saving like $50 a month from what I was paying before. And aside from a couple of hiccups, it hasn't given me any problems. Now that I say that, I'm probably going to get a spinning circle. But you just like anything else, if something's not working, got to take the time and try to find something that will. And there's plenty of carriers out there now that will be glad to try to fill the void. Maya, the thing with signatures, depending on the buyer, they may still try to open a claim. None of the carriers in my area will get a signature. They'll just leave the package. And that's crazy when they do that. Thomas says, eBay doesn't adjust prices. USPS does. Once it hits an overhead scanner in the system, So this means weight and measurement is not accurate when listing. So I do like a 3-step process. I'm weighing and measuring the package before I list it, put that information in the listing. Jenna gets it, she weighs it, okay, and she'll put a little note on there of the weight. I get it. I see she says, oh, this is 12 pounds, but the listing says it's 11. So I'm like, okay, I have my scale here. I'll put it on the scale, and then I'll do one last check with the dimensions. And you will be surprised the number of times I have to go in and change something. Maybe I've overestimated it. Maybe she's repackaged it in a way where it's the box is a little tighter. So it's maybe I was hanging right on the little over the inch mark, and maybe the way she's repackaged it, it's actually a little bit more compact, and I can get away with saying it's 11 inches versus 12. Or maybe the way she's taken the item out and she's repackaged everything to give it a little bit more cushion. Maybe it's added some weight. So if I'm coming across changes, it tells me that if you're just relying on the information you put in the listing and you're not checking it anymore, you're opening yourself up for problems. Maybe you made a mistake, and this allows you to catch that mistake before it costs you money. John Doe says, whatnot seller shipped me clothes in a used diaper box. I had a return many years ago sent back to me in a used diaper box, and the bubble wrap that they used for the item, they bubble wrapped the item, and it had, and I kid you not, had brownish residue on the bubble wrap. So that was absolutely disgusting. Overjoyed says, as long as the buyer signs their real name, I win the CB most times, or the chargeback most times. Some folks get cute and sign a different name or someone else in their home signs. Yeah, and a lot of people think that a buyer can simply open up a chargeback and it's a slam dunk. And that's not the way it works. You're talking to someone who's filed 2 chargebacks as a buyer because I had to. That was my only recourse. And it doesn't stop there. You have to provide, and they'll provide you a link that you send your documents to. But they want documents to document everything that they're going to approach, in this case, eBay with, to say, this is why the chargeback was filed, and what is your response to this? So now eBay then comes to the seller provides information. They take both sides of the story, and then they determine who they're going to side with. It's not an automatic win for the buyer by any means. Maya says, my USPS forges my signature and leaves the package. I've complained multiple times and they still do it. That should be against the law. I mean, for anyone to forge your signature, that's not right. Thomas says, you can out a signature release on file that overrides it, and most people know this because they aren't home during the day. And I know that, like, for instance, when I ran the group department at I'll just say Amtrak. You guys know I used to work there. Well, I ran the group department there, and we required a signature on overnighted. We overnighted our group tickets, and we did not have a way for them to waive the signature requirement. It had to be signed for. Maya says, I haven't put any signature release on at USPS. Tommy says, oh, the Verizon home system is a dumpster fire. Need cable or Fios in a building for sure. So there you go, Josh. If you need better internet, get away from Verizon, find another carrier, and it'll make your life a little easier. Hugh says, for my internet, I use a company called Hyper Optic. And I think even a satellite company, I mean, I know there's like a 1 or 2 second delay, but it's got to be better than just constant spinning circles. I know that many times Josh and I, we would record the Power Hour podcast, and we'd have to cut out some spots where it was just like he froze up, or we, had a spinning circle situation. So it is what it is. I'm sure he's going to resolve it, though. He's the kind of guy that's not going to let something like that linger. He's going to take care of it. Jenna says, guess what, guys? What, Jenna? What are you telling us? Now, here's some news that I haven't heard. What? I shipped a pair of water shoes in a poly today. So much easier and faster. Okay, I haven't seen that package yet. She's just done the shipping now. So after I'm done here, I'm going to run the label. So I guess I'm just going to Deal with it. I'm going to let her win. If the shoe is less than $50 in value, I'm going to allow her to poly mail those shoes. She wins. Up to now, it's been like, please box these. I'd rather my buyer get a box than the shoes in a poly mailer. But thanks to Tommy and some other folks out there who have convinced her otherwise, she's going to use the poly mailer anyway. Overjoyed says, I use the signature option mostly to prevent porch piracy. I have no doubt there are pirates following USPS and FedEx trucks all day long, probably reselling on eBay. They're out there. All you have to do is have a neighbors app, which is an app that's put out by Ring, and you put your address in, and people in your area who, let's say, have a Ring app and they have packages stolen from their porch, you get those videos every day. And we're lucky that our front door is kind of on the side and you have to kind of walk around. So our front door is not visible from the street. And knock on wood, we haven't had any problems like that. John Doe says, people wear shoes in the water. They do. This particular brand is by Body Glove. We bought like 2 big, huge boxes full of these returns. Some were brand new with the tags. Some looked like they were tried on and, oh, I bought the wrong size situation. So they opened a return with Amazon. And so people buy them for about 15 to 20 bucks a pair. We bought the whole box. I think I bought the whole box for like 40 bucks. So I think there's like 100 pairs in there. So we're into the shoes for really cheap, like 40 cents a pair. Maya says, it is to hear a problem is if you have a useless manager at your post office, then you get nothing fixed and they never get reprimanded, even if the staff of the post office has issues with them. Yeah, because they're union employees. So generally, even if a union employee, now we're talking about managers, right? But even a union employee can go in to complain about their manager who is salary and no longer part of the union. And there's not going to be a whole lot done. There's processes in place like paperwork to file and this, that, and the other thing if they want to take things further. But it's really hard to get someone in a union shop disciplined. Tommy says, John, the less you have to worry about, the better. Out of sight, out of mind. Clear poly, and poly is better than a reused box any day of the week. So you're better than 90% already. Well, these were new boxes. These weren't used boxes. So I buy like every quarter. eBay sends us the coupons. We use them. We buy like the 12 by 6 by 6s. And then at Granger here locally, I'll go and buy, I have some I have to pick up on Monday, which are 14 by 9 by 9s for some of the larger shoes. And that works pretty well. Yeah, and this is the problem. Jenna says, yes, they do. They're super ugly, but they work. So putting shoes in a poly mailer looks like crap. I mean, if you're a buyer, your first impression of this eBay transaction is this bubble mailer, and it just looks like hell. You're expecting something better than that. Maybe you're not happy about that as a buyer. I don't know. How would you feel if you received your $40 pair of shoes in a mailer? I guess as long as they look right when they're out of the mailer. But Josh, Bama Jaybird Resale says, what's up, everyone? Finally had a chance to get back in here for a few minutes. Yeah, and I'm not going to take a whole lot longer on this live because I kind of did it just out of fun to jump on after talking with Josh. But I got stuff to do. I've got a photo area to set up, like I was sharing with you guys yesterday on the live. Thanks to Tommy, I picked up this Amaran 60, and it's a very, very powerful light that I'm going to set up by my photo area, and I'm going to probably make a video about it, but it's going to change the way I'm taking photos right now. I mean, I do have a couple of the other lights, the supplemental lights that I bought that's already set up, and that's already made a huge difference. I can just imagine what this thing's going to do. Hugh says, I don't sell on Amazon yet. I sell on eBay and whatnot. Amazon is worth doing. I think if you can, it boils down to the one thing that is the most important step in reselling, no matter what you're selling, and that is the sourcing. So Bearded Picker, he goes around to different states. He buys stuff to resell on Amazon. He's able to find the merchandise. Me, locally, I've tried numerous times to go and do the same things that he does, and I haven't found one item yet. So I'm making a road trip in a couple weeks on my golf trip, 1st of May, and I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to try to find some stores and to see if that makes a difference, because I still do sell FBM on Amazon, and we'll see. Genesis, no, John, the water shoes are ugly. Well, I still think polymailers with shoes in them are ugly as well. Tommy says, I know you use new boxes. I'm saying most resellers use old boxes. So with the new poly bag, you already have a cleaner first impression. Yeah. Biff says this poly bag issue is not going to die easily. No, it's dead. She's welcome to use the poly bags. To be honest with you, I do take your guys' input. I do value the input, and maybe just my perspective. Maybe it's just I'm expecting too much. When I receive a package in the mail and I'm ordering shoes, I don't want to see them show up in a poly mailer. That's just me. But maybe others aren't as are more forgiving than I am. Yes, Mad Hatter's Boutique, light it up. And I was thinking of you over the weekend. I found 5 really, really clean, and I don't want to buy hats anymore, but I found 5 really, really clean Mitchell & Ness hats for $20 is what we got them for. So it's like, all right, I'll take those. I know I can get I know those will sell, because there's some people who will only wear Mitchell & Ness, and I figure, well, even though I still have some of these stupid hats here that I haven't sold, and I haven't sold a hat in months, maybe I'll just buy those and see how it goes. So we'll see. Bama says, same here. I'm putting the siding on the house I'm building for my mom. So busy right now. I know you're doing a lot of work at your property. So I don't envy you, but you're going to be happy when it's all done. Nature Made in Utah. Can I buy generic shoe boxes? Never seen them on eBay. Yeah, I think like sometimes you get shoes that Amazon will ship, and there'll be just a generic brown type of shoe box, and it'll say something to that nature, that the original shoes did not have a box. So here you go. So even when you order shoes on Amazon, you're not getting them in a poly mailer. You're getting them in a box. And I'm just afraid that you're dealing with people who have that Amazon purchase mentality where they're expecting a similar type delivery, and stuffed along with their bills in their mailbox is this pair of shoes in a poly mailer. Tommy says, did you get the big diffuser? It's massive. It doesn't look bright once on, but man, the light is so even. I have this, and I haven't opened it yet because I was waiting for all of it to get here, which that finally did. But this is, it's a Lightbox 545, and it's in its own little case. So let's see what this thing is. Well, that didn't sound healthy. So it's just a standard Lightbox. You know, has the outer covering, has this little thing, looks like a hubcap, and then this. So I don't know. I'm going to have to mess with it. I'll put it here for now because I'm not interested in messing with it this moment. But the plan is, I have this rack, or this mount, that I'm going to put this up on my wall, right? It's not going to be from the ceiling. It's going to be on the wall, and it's going to flip out like that from the wall. And the way I have it set up, it's perfect because there's one side that I don't use for photos, and it's going to go over that side, if that makes sense. So I have a plan in place. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it. Brett says, I'm currently on the hunt for a missing item a buyer bought this morning. Wish me luck. Yes, that sucks when you can't find it. But I would say don't go in and cancel the order just yet. Exhaust every possible place that it could be before you do that. Josh says, I flew an airplane banner ad for my business and filmed it. Hopefully it converts. I'd love to see that. That'd be pretty funny. Hugh says, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't want to get shoes in a poly mailer. See, I'm not the only one. John Doe says, need advice from successful clothes resellers. How many pics should I take per item? How many additional details should be filled in? I am not an experienced clothes seller. I do sell clothes. I have some clothes listed on the other account. I would say as many as possible. Have measurements on some photos, like your pit to pit, and from like the shoulder down to the bottom of the shirt. If you're selling shirts, as much information you can provide. I know it slows you down. You don't get as many done the more photos you put in your listing, but you got to think about it. You're dealing with a lot of competition in clothing, and you've got to be willing to do what others aren't. And that one thing you can do is add more photos. Maya says, nice, Josh. Hope I'll see it at the beach this summer. Not Funny says, I agree with John. $40 shoes in a bag is asking for bad feedback. I may be wrong too. It's really about expectations. Amazon has built higher expectations. Then these people come over to eBay, and now they're expecting the same buying experience, and they get a poly mailer. It's not the same. Josh says, you gave me the idea, Maya. I'm uploading the video. I hope you like it. So I hope you're serious. I'd like to see it. Maya says, John Doe, what kind of clothes? I usually end up with 8 to 12 photos depending on what the item is, but I'm extremely particular about my photos. That's why I'm spending the money to get my photo booth done. My photo desk, we'll call it, get it done. Because when I put clothes, and this is kind of why I bought this light diffuser kit thing, the last thing I want is to have a bright spot from this light on this side of the garment, and then it's dark over here, if you guys know what I'm talking about. And even when you have a couple decent lights, you still get parts of the garment that are brighter and darker than the, you know what I'm saying? So it's trying to fix that problem, and I haven't been able to fix it. So I'm hopeful that this here will spread the light more evenly over the item. I have a box full of clothes that I picked up that I know have pretty good value that I haven't even bothered listing because it's just, the alternative was to go into my living room and lay it out on the ground, because I like doing the flat lay when I do that. And it's just kind of a pain in the butt. I want to have my area set up to be really diverse. I can list shoes, I can list clothes, I can list hard goods in the same area. And that's kind of why I'm setting it up the way I am. Brett found it. There you go. Glad you found it. Lindy Moo says that I would be appalled to get shoes in anything other than a box. Right there. I would be appalled to get shoes in anything other than a box. So you're starting to change my mind back to maybe I need to lower the dollar amount. Maybe it's under 30 bucks. Maybe that's the number. Maya says, so for shirts, I just do a front and back photo, photos of the tags, the one on the neck and the one on the bottom of the shirt, and photos of the measurements and photos of any flaws. Bama, Jaybird Resell. For clothing, I do pictures of front, back, tags, design, brand, close-up, pattern, color, close-up, feature close-ups, flaws, and a photo of the measurements on a whiteboard. Now, let me ask Tommy, for shoes, do you notice that in your lister, now you say you list on the app, so maybe you don't see this, but on the PC, it's now showing you, like when I'm selling shoes, it wants a front view, a back view, a side view this way. It's actually telling you what photos to use for the shoes. Maybe it's just specific to shoes, but I think that's a pretty handy tool to give people an idea of what eBay wants. Forget what you want. eBay will put that in there sort of as a hint as to what they want you to do. And it's, in my mind, best practice to try to fulfill that if you can get all those photos in for those shoes for the different angles they're asking for. Maya says, for measurements, you can show photos, but you could also just list them in the description. Yes, maybe both. Tommy says, the same people that complain about getting shoes in a poly will be the same ones messaging and asking why the shipping is so expensive. Rational people have zero problems, as the 9,000 pair I've sold show zero negative feedback for using a poly. Andy, sometimes shoe boxes at Wally World. And then we have Genesis. I'll keep you posted if we get any negatives for shoes under 50 in a poly. I'm really not concerned. And it's her other account, right? It's not on my main account. So knock yourself out. If we want to throw them in poly mailers, we'll do them, I guess. We'll see what happens. Craven Card says no IB. Well, IB no. So there we go. Tommy says 95% of shoes are under 2 pounds. A box always pushes them over 2 pounds. The shipping cost is pretty significant from coast to coast. So I can see why you're doing that. But if you're not doing free shipping though, right? You're doing calculated. I do calculated. So if I say it's going to be a 3 pound item, it's 2 pound pair of shoes, but the box makes it 3. I'm charging the buyer for 3 based on the dimensions, and they're paying for it. So Maya says, Jenna, why don't you find some small boxes, even Amazon boxes or reused boxes, and put box in a padded flat rate? We have boxes. We have plenty of boxes here. We have boxes of all kinds of different sizes. Maybe the box in a bag type thing, but I think I'd rather just keep it in the box. We're going to do it that way. Basket Noodles with us. Thanks for being here. We have DG says you need to make a large light box. This is kind of what it's going to do. It's going to make my photo area like a large light box, but instead of having a white backdrop, it's going to be, I have a piece of flooring that I bought that's covering these desks that I put into place. I have the desks set up the way that I want them. So I have a place to store things over here. I have a clear area to put really any size item I want. And it's because I use photo room, that black backdrop that I'm having, it doesn't hurt anything. It's not going to be black. I can have white. For the most part, I still do white backgrounds with photo room. Maya says you can do a bag in a box, Cupid rates also. That's the way we used to do it many years ago. Overjoyed says every sneaker type of rubber soled shoes I purchased, they almost always arrive in a poly bag. But when you buy on Amazon, do you get them in a poly bag? Maya says if it's a small box, you could probably also get it in a legal flat rate. But we're talking about maybe the water shoes, but a regular pair of shoes. Because what we do is, like, here's a pair of boots. Okay, so we wrap them. When we list them, we wrap them, we put them away. So we don't have shoes flying all over the place in a bin somewhere. They're connected. And we, of course, we mark them as to what they are inside the wrap. And so we throw those in a poly, I guess. We have big polys, but I prefer to put them in a box, but I'm gonna let Jenna do it however she wants. Steph says that she agrees with Tommy. Okay. Baby update. Jenna, 16 weeks, baby is size of an avocado, a healthy heartbeat, and growing. Well, congratulations, Brett. That is awesome. Tommy Bernard, cubic is cubic box or bag. Don't need to put a box in a bag. You know, to me, the only reason why I would do a box in the bag, let's say I have just this retail box here. This is probably a perfect example, but let's say I have this light that I'm selling. Okay. I don't want to just throw a label on the back and ship it like that, especially around the holiday season when people are maybe buying this for a gift. So I will wrap this with bubble and we'll put it in a poly mailer and we'll form fit the poly mailer with tape. So it looks like this, but just imagine this with a poly bag over it. And we slap the label on. So now we're not destroying the integrity of the box. We're providing some extra padding for the package, and it's in a poly mailer. So, maybe, the guy doesn't want his wife to know that he just bought her a new light. I don't know, but you guys see what I'm saying. And that's the way we continue to do it when we use Ground Advantage. Now, you can't do that for FedEx. So we have to ship it a little differently, maybe a box in a box, that type of thing, double boxing it. Andy says, I guess it's all relative to income. My light box is 4-piece notebook paper with flashlight. Well, I mean, I have had many lighting options set up in here, and it doesn't give me, there's always something lacking about it. Now, what I have right now is actually better than what I've had before, but I can just imagine when I add this to that, how I'm going to be finally where I want to be. I've had lighting problems with my products for many years. So hopefully by following Tommy's advice, this will resolve it, and I will definitely report that to you. Maya says, Tommy, yeah, but if they feel like they must put it in a box, it could be a middle ground. Hugh says, I use the eBay app at present when I list. I do that. It's kind of a two-tiered thing. I build my draft in the PC because I have all the information I need here at my computer because I know what I'm getting. I don't have the item yet. I'll build the draft. I'll get the item. I'll do everything that I need to, and then finish it in the app. And that works out pretty well. What I have noticed is if I try to enter a value in the SKU for the location of my item on the PC, lately it hasn't been, when I go to launch the item, it doesn't show my location of the item in the SKU. I found that the last 6 items I've listed, it's not showing where I put it. So thankfully I caught that. Maya's Pirate Ship says they have box in a bag. Yes, they do. You can use the envelope option rather than the box option. Overjoyed said the cheapest lowball customers are always the most difficult. I think so. And if they ask you 30,000 questions, you got to ask yourself, is it worth the sale to allow this person to buy your item? Because you know that they're going to more than likely be contacting you after the sale. The best customers that you can have are ones that never contact you before the sale and never contact you after the sale. And in my opinion, who never leave a feedback of any kind, just go on with their life. And those are the ones that, so I don't care about my feedback score, to be honest with you. I would prefer people who do not want to play the feedback game at all over somebody who wants to write novels, even good novels. Sometimes you go through a situation with the buyer and you resolve a situation for them. And maybe it's a partial refund when you've screwed up, or you do something and they'll put that whole diatribe like, yeah, here's what the seller did. They gave me a partial refund and I'm happy because they made it right. Well, the person now fishing for a partial refund is going to look at my feedback and go, ooh, maybe I can get this guy to do it for me. So yeah, I really wish eBay would go back to that 80 character feedback they had before. Basket Noodle says some of the requirements have more an external impact with Google Shopping. Why it's really pretty important to fill in the details. I would certainly recommend you to try to fill in all the details you can for every item you're listing. Jenna says, I have small boxes. John has ordered nearly every size box I may need. I just don't feel it's necessary to waste the box on a pair of shoes that are less valuable and can easily be put in a simple poly. Well, here's your chance. Let's see. I got to tell you, the moment I get a negative feedback for that is the moment we're going to have another conversation about it. Maya says, Jenna, that's why I suggested just reusing old ones. We really don't keep a lot of old ones, though, because space is at a premium here. And even to find like a nook or cranny to like stuff them into, we just don't have. We're already using those nooks and crannies in the garage already with the boxes that we do have. So we, like right now, I have like a stack of boxes that are in my little work area in the garage that are in my way. I'm like stepping around, and I'm going to get them in the trash can today because they're in the way. Basket Noodle says, via Ask Google on folks' phones, there are more search requests in a day than eBay see directly on site in days, perhaps weeks. It's the #1 gizmo to find gizmos now. So Ask Google, huh? I use Google Lens. Is that similar to what you're talking about? Basket Noodle says that's why Google is now working to cheese everyone out of money. They tried for 20 years to be a top e-commerce search. Now they are. Just I've used ones also that I have set aside for my Amazon purchases. Tommy says they're paying for it, and the shipping cost is a huge part of Cassini, as we know. $13.17 or $17.98 to California is 10% increase on $40 shoes. Enjoy the lower search rank. And that's certainly good advice. From that angle, I agree with you entirely. Mike says, so those that do poly mailers for bulky items like shoes, do you bubble wrap item and then stick in poly, or do you just stuff them in the poly? I would say you got to at least bubble them, protect from any kind of damage or scuffs that might occur from just being thrown around. Genesis, the big bulky shoes I'd put in a box. I hope so. I like these boots. I don't know if I'd put them in a poly. Maya says, honestly, with water shoes, I feel like these could definitely go in a bubble mailer, but they're not a bubble mailer. Yeah, I guess. We do have some bubble mailers on hand, but for me, poly is probably a little bit cheaper. DG, boxes are going for free at the 99-cent store sale closeout. Didn't know that. Something to check into, guys, if you need some boxes. Craven Cards says, I'd be pissed off if I got my shoes in a bag, banged around, and feel like they didn't care to send my package in a box. It's buyer perception. I think it's logically, we know if we bubble wrap a pair of shoes and throw them in a poly mailer, they're probably not going to get damaged. I mean, Tommy does it all the time and he doesn't have complaints. But it's perception. It's buyer perception. When they get that package, they're waiting all week for it. They check their mail and their first thought is, they could at least box this, you know? So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's kind of a mixed bag. Some people think box, some people think poly. But we're going to let the customers, the actual customers, speak for itself. If we're going to do this project, we're going to use poly mailers for shoes under 40 bucks. And I said 50 before. Now it's 40. Under 40 bucks. And if we get a negative feedback, I'll report it to you guys, and we probably will change back. Thomas says, yes, Jenna, women's boots and dress shoes, I always put in a box. Okay. Amazon, actually, Bearded Picker says, Amazon only allows selling of new shoes. If they come in a box, they're required to be shipped in the box. Some people use plain boxes for outlet stores. This is a gray area. Well, Amazon has sent a pair of shoes before in a plain box, and it wasn't a branded box, and maybe it was an FBM seller. I don't know, but people do it. John Doe says, I may just break down and buy the $260 78-inch photo booth from Amazon to use for clothes. Opinions. So that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that one. Chastity says, if a pair of shoes can't hold up to being shipped in a bag, it's not a pair of shoes I would want to wear anyway. Okay. Basket Noodle says, Rachel Strickland had a great video on taking photos recently. Well, worth checking out. I'm always interested in better photos, so I'll certainly check that out. Brett says, since on the live, just sold 2 pairs of $200 shorts. Maybe if I hit the like, I'll get a third. Hit that like button, guys. Why not? We're going to do this for a few more minutes, and then we're going to get going. Genesis, I'm not presentable enough for a live, but I'm here. She's on her computer right now. Semper says, get better lights and still. So next step is building my box for better photos. If it works for smaller items, I'll do a video on it. Okay. Josh Galt's at the border. Got to shut the phone down. Great live, John. Have a great evening, everyone. Well, thanks for the inspiration of doing the live, because if your internet would have worked, I wouldn't be doing this live. I'd be listing right now. Genesis, that's exciting. Random short like sales for the win. And feedback is so ancient. Really need real statistics, both for buyer and the seller side. And any suggestions I would like to bring to eBay. I just haven't figured out what do you do to replace the feedback system as it is. You can't have nothing. I think you got to be able to give buyers confidence by them clicking on the feedback rating and seeing something there. I think that's important, because there are people that are very careful about spending their money online. And I don't know. I want you guys to think about that one. Andy says, my life as a successful reseller always comes to whether I can buy a Costco rotisserie chicken and come into chat in the storeroom. And hello, everybody. Well, thank you for being here, Andy. Still haven't got your email. I don't know what your email is. You can email me. I can email you, or Instagram, or whatever. Jenna says, I have a pile of used Amazon boxes in my shipping room. Open your eyeballs, sir. Well, they're hidden very well because I have not seen them. Brett says, any negative I've had, I've called eBay and they've removed. Never contact the buyer, but the comments are always not relevant to me, the item or the service, but I do enjoy my 100% positive feedback score. Well, certainly enjoy that feedback score. It used to be very, very common, but now with eBay not removing negative feedback, it's becoming less common for sellers to have 100% feedback. Andy says, are you now canceling Photo Room? No, because I like using their AI backgrounds. I just, that way, you don't need to use AI backgrounds, but I just like to do them. I think they're cool. Tommy does them. I do them. It adds an element to the photo that your competition isn't using. And there was a study done many years ago. I can't really tell you the source because I'm just kind of remembering about this. But if you have a photo that in some way differs from the other stock photos, let's say, that are being used for the item, I'm thinking in my mind shoes right now, you are going to stand out. And what you want to do when you're in a sea of other listings that are similar to yours, you want to stand out through your photos. So if you have something that's going to pop in your gallery photo, chances are that's going to get your buyer's attention. That's why I like to use the AI with Photo Room. And that's why eBay's thinking about implementing their own AI in their photos, because they know that. Tommy says, I've seen the pics eBay recommends, but that's because most sellers are terrible. And a lot are. I've seen some of these comps. We're talking shoes right now, but I'm sure there's others that's like, man, you could have done better with those photos. But I guess for some, speed is more important than quality when it comes to listings. Devon sells mostly handbags and wallet boxes and polys. Okay. Overjoy says cheap novelty boxes that cost under 20 bucks usually arrive double bagged. And I like the double bagging option with, if you're going to use a poly for clothes, put a clear bag, put the clothing item in a clear bag, and then put it in the poly. I think that will eliminate any possible cutting from someone who uses a box cutter, and maybe they're not thinking. Maybe they're in the middle of 30,000 things. They get this item, they've ordered like 5 things, and one was a clothing item, but they're not thinking about it. They go in, they take their box cutter, and they slice right through the package. And if you don't provide that second layer, they might have just cut through their clothing item. Tommy says, so I had 13 repeat sales between yesterday and today on eBay alone. Guess they didn't mind poly bags. We're going to try it. You've had good advice before. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be buying this stuff, right? So I do trust your advice. Pensacola Flipper says, like is hit. Didn't notice this, just woke up. Yeah, I didn't notice it either until like an hour ago when Josh's live was spinning. So I decided, you know what? Actually, Jovial said, let's do a live. So I said, you know what? Let's do it. Tommy, Devon, no dress shoes and poly bags. I don't go there. That's a different world. Sneakers always going in a poly unless over 100. Biff says, thanks for the pop-up live, John. Someone just ordered a 40-piece of my low ASP chud that makes it a lot of cha-chings. Yes, a lot of cha-chings. Love to hear that. Devon says, I'm so over all the construction they're doing in Idaho here. It's a loud dump truck next to my bedroom. Well, that's why they say here in Nevada that the state flower is the cone, the traffic cone, because we have them all over the roads out here, and it's just crazy. All they do is road work out here. Overjoyed says, I've cut through a laptop case opening a narrow box from Amazon, bummed. Yeah, and you're like, oh, I forgot I ordered this shirt. Oh, man, let me just put in that it's been damaged or item not described, and now we'll just send it back and get my money back. Tommy says, my biggest competitor takes the most ridiculous pictures, but their price is so good, it doesn't matter. They sell around 20,000 per day on just eBay. They come in poly bags always also. But, this is the great thing about not being on eBay Island. Having little pop-up lives like this or making videos, watching YouTube content, as a seller, we think, well, this is the way. This is the way we do it. And this is the best way that works for me. And then you get off of eBay Island and you start watching these videos, interacting on the lives and the chat, and you realize, well, maybe that way is something I can try. So I thank you guys for being a way for me to get off of eBay Island and to learn more information, to get out of my own way sometimes and try different things. So we're trying the new lighting and we're trying the new boxing, going to polys on some of these shoes, and we will report to you guys how that turns out. So we're going to get rolling here. I don't know how long we've been on, for an hour. It seems like we've only been on here for like 30 minutes, but nonetheless, time flies when you're having fun. On behalf of Josh Galt, who tried to do his live today, and myself, want to thank you guys for tuning in. And we will talk to you. Tune into Josh Galt's live on Thursday. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of things, very interesting things this time to talk about. And until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk to you guys very soon.